Testing 1, 2, 3. All right. Pardon me while I get things ready. Eventually. Mm-hmm. Oh my goodness. Am I gonna have everything ready on time? Ah, almost. Oh, I'm alive. Oh no. Okay, hi, hello. Please give me just a few, a minute or two to finish ready for the stream that I was absolutely prepared to do. Yeah. It's just a little bit. Um, so thank you for your patience while I finish clicking some things to make sure they're in place. I mean, generally everything looks good though, right? Yeah, I got my face. Got this thing. Yeah, nice. Alright, so today is going to be a bit different in that it's almost school time again. So I will be covering that momentarily. Yeah, I think this will do it. Good enough. Alright, let's see. So, first message. And let's double check that this is working. Oh, hey, there it is. Alright, next part. Oh, hey. Okay, so, for this past months, I've been doing Type Racer, which is something in line of what I want to try to do, which is engaging with my audience directly and trying to teach them a skill, but in like a fun game way. But, as I'm aware of, or as far as I'm aware, school's starting soon. Like, wow, really soon, like in a few weeks. Literally 2 to 3 weeks for a fair amount of people. So, to kind of give some time to help prepare for anything that may be coming. Specifically, if someone has school coming up in a few weeks, and if they have a book report, and they procrastinated this entire summer and have done nothing, and you feel like you're in trouble, hey, I'm here to help. So I'm going to start with that. For any student who might have something to do, I'm working with the frame of a book report, but these tips can apply to generally anything that you do. So it's not just for like, alright, here's a book, you read it. Wait, hold on, I'm doing this wrong. Alright, here's a book, you read it, and that's done, and then you write. And there it is, right? It might seem like it's easy, like, oh, I should just get to it and do it. And in some cases, that might be it. If your work ethic is such that you can just get started on it and do it and have it done with, that's fine. However, in my experience, people who do that or are able to do that usually do that at like the beginning of summer. For those who kind of do the work near the end of the summer or procrastinate, kind of don't have this immediate get things done and then it's over with. So I would like to help with that for those who have procrastinated and are waited and are panicking and just worried like, oh no, I have to read this whole book, I have to write this whole paper, I got to do this project, I only have a few weeks. Alright, well here's what you do. And that's basically what today and I think next week's stream is going to be about. So the first thing, and again, this is in the context of a book report, but it can be applied to any other kind of projects you have to do within a tight time frame, especially if you have trouble focusing or being able to work on it, or maybe aren't excited to work on it, right? First, you got to prepare your environment. And I think the best way to kind of describe this is if you have a fishbowl, right? The first step is you add the water. You don't just have a fishbowl and then you just throw the fish in there, because then that little guy's gonna kind of suffer. Oh wait, hold on. I can draw that better. Yeah, it kind of looks like a fish. Blech. Okay. So you want to have the water first in order to have the best chance of your fish surviving before you put in the fish in there. Again, I know it seems very silly, very basic, but to that end, if you want to have the best chance to be able to read and write a report or something that you really don't like or something that you might struggle with, setting up the environment is definitely the first step that you want to go for. So, to that end, there's a lot of things that you can do to kind of make this space for work as successful as possible, and in no particular order of importance. I'm gonna list off a bunch of things. So, first thing is to remove distractions. Distractions? Yeah, that's probably how you spell it. Alright. Now, of course, there's obvious distractions that might come to mind. Something that you might think of like as maybe a TV or some kind of noise environment, or maybe how to put this? A lot of people talking to you when you're trying to work, which, you know, isn't necessarily bad. That just means they like talking to you, and that's great. But when you're trying to get some work done and it's a bit of a distraction, I'm not saying like remove them per se, but to remove yourself and your availability to be talked to, so that way they don't distract you as you try to work. And then some maybe less obvious things is kind of tailored to maybe how you feel that you would get distracted, right? Maybe there's a maybe silence is distracting to you, right? So if it's too quiet and you kind of need that noise to work in that kind of environment, maybe the distraction would actually be the lack of sound. So then something that might help is maybe headphones. Those look like headphones? And music. And I'll get more onto that in the next part. But removing other kind of maybe non-obvious distractions, like it being too quiet, not having all your things together that you might need to grab and get, being distracted with food, and I'll get to that in a moment. What's a good food? What's an identifiable food? Cheese. Yeah. Right? This thing? That looks like food. And then what's another one? Yeah, sure, let's work with this. So, going around in this thing, how to remove these distractions. It's not necessarily you have to like take a TV out of your room. It's not necessarily that you have to remove things completely. It's more just kind of setting up them so that they're not as accessible. An extreme example that I don't know if it's a good one is like losing the remote. Again, not really good advice, right? I don't recommend losing your remote because once it's gone, it's kind of gone sometimes. Maybe just unplugging the TV might help, but again, that's a little extreme. Maybe just not wanting to turn it on would probably make a lot more sense, right? But also kind of tailoring that as well. So, I'll give 3 examples, right? One is someone who cannot stand TV at all. If there's a TV in the room, they will automatically be distracted. They'll think about all the shows that they're missing, all the things that they want to watch. They cannot control themselves from that distraction, right? And in that case, I would say, let's see. How do we do this? Need, want, meh. Alright, so if they feel like they need the TV, right? Maybe disconnecting might help, but maybe not always. Because this requires a level of self-reflection where you might need to think, well, why do I need the TV? Is it just that I need the TV itself? Do I need to watch these shows? Is there a certain time that I need to do these things? Because in that case, if that's so, then it's not necessarily the TV that's the issue. It just actually might be something different. Maybe it's your scheduling. So time management might suit you better. Or maybe you can think, okay, well, if I need to watch this show and I don't want to miss it, and if I do, it's going to be terrible. Don't necessarily think that you have to deny yourself completely the television, but rather think, well, what if I just schedule my time for reading and writing around that thing that I feel that I need? So if it's an afternoon TV show, then maybe try to do your work in the morning. If it's a morning TV show, maybe try to do it in the afternoon. If it's at both times, well, maybe in the midday. And if it's like throughout the day and all the time, well, then you might need to reconsider things a little bit, just a bit. But it's not supposed to be a completely painful process to remove distractions. It's supposed to work in harmony with the things that you already have around in your life, right? And to that end, if someone wants to watch TV, right, if they feel like, oh, I just want to have it on, I don't feel like I need it, but I feel like it helps or I want it, you have to kind of also think about what it is that you actually want. Is it the TV or is it actually noise that you really enjoy? Because if it's the noise, well, then why not music? Why not not necessarily a podcast, because then you might listen and be distracted, but something that is explicitly non-verbal, non-story based, something that's just sound, right? And no shame, there's also, I think, YouTube videos of like sounds of a cafe or in a ambiance setting. If you feel like you need that, you can use that as long as it's something not directly telling you a story, something that might distract you from what you're working on. You can use that as a separate tool. And then if you're just kind of meh about TV and you feel like it's going to be a distraction, but it's not really, you just leave it. Just don't touch it. There we go. And that should be kind of really easy for you, right? And I'll try to do it with these other examples as well. So say, for example, if people are talking to you, right? Need, want, meh. Okay. So if someone needs to talk to you, or you need to talk to someone as you do this, right? Maybe it's oh geez, what would be an example? Like someone that needs you that you have to take care of, or someone that you have to be in close communication with. Maybe you're taking care of someone, or maybe they're taking care of you, right? Maybe reframing the way in which you approach the project, like a book report, would actually work. It might work well. An example is, what if you just read the book to the person, or have them read it to you? The only thing is that you have to kind of understand what the book is, right? There's no real law or rule in how you consume it. So if it's you and someone else, and they need to be in communication with you the entire time, or if you're in very close quarters and there's not really that much privacy, you know, maybe you could just kind of read the book to each other, or take turns, or kind of make a play of it and have fun. Might not only make it more engaging, but also stay in close communication with that person while you're doing this project. Right? And if someone just wants to talk to you, or you just kind of want to talk to them, well, then I think in that case, you would have to kind of make a decision of whether it's okay to kind of have that separate space to work on your own, right? I think this would fall more in the line of, let's say, for example, you have roommates, and they want to talk to you about this cool thing, or this new game, or this project, and it's really interesting, and you like it, and they like it, but you got to get this project done. Then that's where something like a library would come in, where it's a quiet space, right? Maybe they can go with you, maybe not. But it's a space designated for, is this a library? Yeah, let's make it look like one. I think it kind of looks like a school. I should do a book on the top. There we go. Okay, so maybe like a library, wherein that's a separate space where, you know, if they want to talk to you, they can, but they probably shouldn't, and you should probably stay focused on reading the thing that you're reading. And if it's a different kind of project, if it's not reading, if it's something else, putting yourself in a separate space, either away from the person, but also focused on the subject in which you're doing the thing, I think would be helpful for you to understanding and studying it. So, you know, books for libraries. Makes sense. And it was just like, meh. Someone kind of talks to you sometimes, or maybe it's really not that kind of a close encounter communication. Then, you know, just like, let's say, for example, someone that texts you sometimes, but it's not an emergency. Then that's something that's really easy. You could just kind of, if you have a phone or a device, how do I make this look like a phone? Is this like a call button looking thing? That's supposed to be a phone. Sorry if it looks terrible. Yeah, just put your phone on silent. There we go. So that way you don't have to worry about that communication distraction. And again, if you notice a pattern here, I'm not saying that, you know, there's a one solution fits all. I think a lot of hows and how-tos on when it comes to kind of getting ready for studying, they kind of focus more on like, well, it's a thing that you want, you could just cut it out of your life. But sometimes there's a real need to kind of be in that environment, or to kind of have someone near you. So I'm trying to also make an exception for that, because I think music is another great example, and food. I'll get to that too. So let's see, need, want, meh. So if you need to have sound to work, similar to like the TV example, right? Something that you can do as part of the process to prepare for work is to make a playlist. And it might, I wouldn't say don't get too distracted with it, right? Maybe you don't want to spend like 2 whole days of a week that you have left to study just making this awesome playlist that you might only hear once. Maybe make your own kind of study playlist, something that you can kind of work or listen to and do, and that is of a music type that you enjoy and that you could work on without getting too distracted. I'm probably gonna, if you know what I'm doing, I'm trying to draw the lo-fi girl with the headphones who studies. And so that's an example of where you can kind of have music in an environment, and it kind of takes away the distraction of that part of your brain that needs that stimulation and just lets you be able to focus on the text. Now, that is one example. I know that there's other things where, oh geez, I forgot what it's called, but it's like a kind of sound, like a ambient BPM thing. That's just kind of a rhythmic beat. Some people find that helpful for just focusing on whatever it is that they're doing. That might work too. Generally, as long as it's not something like an audiobook or a story, or or something that gets you singing, right? If it's a little boring, if it works out, then that will probably help you focus the most if you need music as a source. Now, again, everyone's different, right? I know some people who find metal very relaxing, almost meditative. And so if that's your jam, then go for it. Just, again, I would advise making a playlist that's one that you can shuffle, loop, maybe like at least an hour long, or 2 in total, and then just work with that. Now, if you want music, again, it could fall into either category, where either you can have it or not. Making a playlist, I think, would be less of a necessity, but if you have one, use it what you got. If you don't need it or think it can be without it, that's fine. It's important to reevaluate how you function without these things, and again, I'll cover that in a future bit, but it's different for everyone. Personally, I like music, so I would say this is kind of like a want for myself, and I find it helpful to kind of associate a type of music with a type of studying. So for example, this music I have right now, this playlist, I have it as a strong association with what I do, which is tutoring, right? Talking about concepts, education, stuff like that. So every time I listen to it, my mind's in the same headspace to do the same kind of work. Whereas if you listen to the same music that maybe you do something else, like fix a car, or sing in the shower, or both somehow at the same time, then maybe not use that same music. Maybe use something that you only use for that one particular subject or study or thing. Yeah, and if you're mad about music, then that's fine. In fact, if it's noisy where you're at and you'd rather not have music, then hey, headphones, they still work. They're pretty great if you use them for your own personal devices or what have you. Then they can also be used to have silence or maybe even white noise, just something to help cancel out if there's too many distracting sounds. So that's pretty good. All right, and then I'll go over food in a second. Let me just check to make sure that this thing's still working. Yeah, okay. So, for food, again, everyone's going to need food at some point when you're studying. But the question is not necessarily whether you're going to need it at all. It's whether you need it in the middle of studying or as part of the studying process. Right? Maybe having something to eat or snack on might help you focus. And to that end, if it's something that you absolutely need, just pre-plan your meals. Much like how maybe someone might brown bag a lunch. Pre-prep? Yeah. Just having like a meal plan or a snack plan, or being able to kind of go shopping and get study foods, something that you designate as just, this is what I'm going to eat, right? Could be delicious, could be yucky, could be whatever, could be, I don't know, celery. Can I draw celery? Kind of looks like an onion, right? Alright, this is not a bone. It's supposed to be celery. I think making it green would have helped. Yeah. Anyways, so if you need something crunchy, if you need something soft, if you need something sweet, first, again, know yourself. If you feel like you need it, then you probably need it. Use it to your advantage, right? Have a snack that you designate as just the celery food, because if you have it associated with something else, sorry, celery food, study food. Have a snack that you designate as the study food, because if you have it associated with something else, like, oh, this is the food I eat every day at lunch, or this is the food that I eat all the time on weekends when I'm bored, or this is my Super Bowl snack that I eat when I watch sports games. Try to have this one separate. Try to have it different, so that way that association of this snack is only with this process of reading or studying or writing. So that way this can be that sort of study food. The shelf life might last longer because then you're not eating it for these other events, and you don't have to buy it as frequently. But also kind of, again, it gets your mindset that this is something similar to what you do, but is separate from other things. So that's helpful. If you want food, yeah, I mean, at some point you're gonna want to eat. Just go for it. You're gonna have to eat at some point during the day, but I would say schedule for it in advance. So much like how you might say, okay, I'm going to do this for an hour, right? Also make sure that you eat before you study. Just schedule it in advance, or before you read, so that way you're not reading on an empty stomach and thinking about, oh man, I'm so hungry. This passage looks so delicious. Like, why are they talking about food in the first chapter? This is horrible. Yeah, just go for it. Eat. Take your time, but also try to, you know, not eat on an empty stomach. And then if you're mad about food, if you feel like it doesn't matter, then that's fine. Just try not to, or actually, how should I put it? If you have food and you don't want food, you're not just mad, you're trying to avoid it because maybe it's really greasy, maybe it's really oily, and you're working in a kitchen and you're trying not to get your food all over your books and stuff. Or if you're working on a laptop, or a computer, or desktop, and you don't want to get crumbs all over the keyboards. Be aware of that. Be aware of the type of foods that you're trying to eat, and just try to avoid it in that workspace, so that way you don't make a mess, because otherwise you might feel tempted to clean, and then that eating and cleaning, and then whatever process comes next that you might consider is just distraction upon distraction, and not necessarily doing the studying that you're supposed to be doing, or reading. Oh man, I think I've been going way too fast. Okay, let's see. Oh, I missed something. Yeah, for other people, for the meh part, just let them know. Like, for the meh and the wants, just let them know that you're going to be studying, and a lot of times they'll just kind of be chill with it. That communication, just not cutting them off completely because they're going to be worried or check on you or something. I don't know. But by letting people know that you're going to be here, or you're going to be away, or you're going to be unavailable, I think is a polite thing to do. So that way you don't have that kind of distraction from them as well during this process. Now, of course, this is all kind of basic. I shouldn't say basic. This is environmental stuff, right? To set up so where you can really get the most reading done. But of course, it also varies, right? Let's see. So if the if you're doing a book report and you have to read a book, right? Well, let's go if it's good or bad. So if the book is really good, if it's really interesting, and you have everything set up, you got your schedule sorted, you got your TV show that you want to watch that's not for hours, you got let people know that you're going to do that, you have your food prepped if that's your thing, and you want silence because that's your thing, right? And the book is good, then you're going to find that you might go overtime. That's okay. I think that's fine, right? You might read the whole thing, you might read a bunch of chapters, you might be really engrossed, and then that just means that you get to get the work done early. And so whatever time that you allotted for the day, just kind of you might blow past that, or maybe you do within the time frame, but you're able to succeed a lot faster than you expected. And instead of looking at a 2-week time frame of trying to finish this book, now you may only have like a few days, right? And I'll go over scheduling in a bit. So for this, if you're done early, I don't really need to talk about it, because then you're done, you're good, you're solid. Everything's great and taken care of, and you're on your way to success. Really, what needs to be kind of focused on is, what if it's bad? Oh, what if it's a boring book? What if it's a real drag? What if it's terrible? What if it's just not a fun read? Yeah. I'm pretty sure if it's a report and they assign it, assigned readings usually kind of in this category where it might not appeal to you. So, to that end, again, preparing your environment isn't just something that you do just to do it. It's part of the process, and you could think of it as like a checklist, right? This is done, this is done, this is done, and this is done. That could be day 1 of reading, right? You don't have to read every single day. You don't have to get all this done within 5 minutes. You don't have to prepare your meals for like a whole week in like 10 minutes. Like, no. Part of the reading process is to kind of get your mindset into doing things that might seem a little boring. Because I think that maybe something like scheduling your time, going to the library, right? Sitting there, being able to listen to music that you're not a particular fan of, but that helps you focus. That's all part of the growing pain of getting ready for the book, but also gets your mind ready to kind of accept some of that boredom and pain too, because once you start chewing through the first chapter, you're not diving headfirst into like a sea of boredom. What does a sea of boredom even look like? Let me figure that out. It's kind of like an ocean. Oh, ooh. Yeah, okay, a sea of boredom. Instead, you've already taken these other steps to set up your environment to minimize that, and then also when you do get bored, you don't have other distractions in the area that you're in with you that you might want to pull from. Now, of course, as a last resort, if it's really a struggle to read, there are some things that might happen. 2 I can think of right now. One is daydreaming. And the other is, I don't know how to describe this. Motionless. No. Not motionless. What would you call it? Unable to stay still. What's another word for unable to stay still? Constant motion? Moving about? Wiggling? Oh, what's that thing when people like bounce their leg a lot? I don't know. Can't sit still. Okay. So, if you're reading the book, right, you're looking at the pages, it's a very dry read, you're not interested at all, and you are, as one example, daydreaming, right, thinking about something else. Your eyes are looking at the pages, and you're looking at the letters, and it's not sticking in your head at all. you're thinking about something totally else. There's maybe one word that said something about like I don't know, celery. And even though this passage has a whole bunch of other stuff that, you know, chapters, people talking and stuff like that, and your mind is like drifting off into thoughts of celery, right? Is that? Yeah, it looks okay. Now, what a lot of people, well, I shouldn't say a lot of people, some of the advice that I've heard, I didn't find very helpful, where either, and you can do this though, and I'll just say this, you can go for a walk, you can do something else, you can take your mind off it, but you still might be thinking about celery, right? What might seem a bit of a contradiction is that whatever it is that you're thinking about or daydreaming about, I would say put what you're reading on pause. What's a good looking pause button? Something like that. Let's see, pause the book. And just go hardcore into daydreaming for a very specific amount of time. Again, it might sound a bit counterproductive because you're doing the thing that's distracting you from doing what you're supposed to be doing, right? In that, instead of, you know, maybe trying to stop the behavior, it's leaning into the behavior. But the reason why I say that is because maybe there is something to it. And, you know, in addition to that daydreaming part, it's just your mind is not being engaged by the text that you're reading. There's something that's stuck with it, that resonates with you, and instead of just daydreaming a little bit of it and kind of lingering and distracting you from the text and you're not really paying attention to what you're looking at, I would say kind of go for the version of a sprinter's version for that daydream for a very specific amount of time. You could say 20 minutes, 30 minutes, something that's not going to take up the whole time, but for that day, for that time, first, forgive yourself. This happens to everyone, so don't worry about it. But then go into that idea hard and then really kind of enjoy it, because then you might have a stronger positive association with the book that you're reading. What I mean by that is if you kind of feel like it's torture reading this book, right? If it's awful, if it's painful, and then you have to deny yourself of something that your body wants to do, which is maybe daydreaming, then it's going to be very bad. But if you realize, you know what, there are times when maybe I could set aside time or maybe reschedule the amount of time that I have set for this just to go into hardcore daydreaming as part of this process of reading this terrible, terrible book, then instead of being something terrible, you're like, you know what, I don't actually set aside time in the day to daydream. This is kind of nice. I'm okay with this now. So it kind of changes what you associate with the text. And in fact, if there is something in the book that you're daydreaming about. For example, if it's a story where someone's in this kind of environment and you're thinking about, oh, what would I do if I was in that situation? Or what would I do if if I had this power, or if I was, had to escape the situation or solve this problem, right? That's part of the reading process, and you shouldn't try to suppress that. You should try to enjoy it, because that's part of enjoying the book and the text and the world that's being built. So, by really leaning into it, and again, setting yourself a limit, a time, I would say maybe like 20 to 30 minutes, depending on how much you daydream. Really kind of go into that, because then if you have extra time, maybe only do it for like 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes, right? Then you have those 20 minutes back, 10 to 20 minutes back to go back to reading, and you get to enjoy the book, feeling, okay, well, that was fun, and now your mind's not as distracted anymore. Or, maybe you go for the full length of time and you're like, ah, man, all right, I can't wait to keep reading so then I could do this again tomorrow or later on when I'm scheduled to read again. And that's great, right? It's trying to have like a positive experience with the book so then that we can actually get through it. Now, the reason why this works is because if you think about unable to sit still, while reading, right? Maybe really antsy the pantsy. Maybe you really have to move, right? You know, what would the advice be? What would the sensible advice be? Would it be that you have to completely stand still? You have to... Is this an ice cube? I'm gonna try to draw an ice cube. You have to completely sit still and not move at all, and you have to completely stare at the book and control your body, and it's just you're being forced there, right? Does that make sense as advice? If someone can't sit still, or if someone cannot sit still and they need to move, and they have to have that activity with them, would it be better to say, okay, well, how about you have like a quick break and you run around, or you do some exercise, do some something that doesn't require a 20-minute drive to the gym, something you could do at home, right? You know, push-ups, pull-ups, sit-ups, whatever, squats. I don't know. But this advice for not sitting still, if someone's going through it and they're bored, is usually leaning towards have that movement, right? And also, again, to set a time frame for it, not just to spend all the time in which you might feel bored and wanting to move for the rest of the study time, but to set like a limit. And again, that's usually 20 or 30 minutes. And they say that because when your body needs that kind of activity, that kind of engagement, I believe it's for, what is it, ADHD? I don't know if that's still the technical term. I forgot. But it's just something that they need at that time, so then that their body can kind of calm down, relax, get that energy out of their system, and so then they could sit still later on, right? And in the same vein of thought, you know, if their physical body is overactive and they need to move, then some people, for their mental capacities or faculties, are also overactive, and then they need to move too. Just sprint daydreaming. So they both help. Okay. So these are kind of just general ideas for setting the environment on how to kind of go about some of the process. But there are, of course, more specific things that can be done. And I think one of those that each of these have relied on to some degree is time management. Hey, time management. Ooh. All right, and I'll try to go over that in a bit. Oh, there's another part that I missed. Sorry. I'll go over time management in a second. Or maybe even next stream, because it's really important. But I don't know if people will have enough time. Okay. Another thing is understanding what helps you, or what motivates you, right? For this book report. Is just the fact that you get it done enough of a motivator? Is it the pressure? Is it the not wanting to fail? You know, there's a lot of reasons why someone might do something, right? But another reason why that I think isn't really taken into consideration much when it comes to these self-paced projects are rewards. Hey, all right. And I think something that could be fun and partially relevant to the platform I'm on is that maybe if you finish a portion of your reading for the day or your writing for the day, you should look to reward yourself for that. And someone might say, well, how, right? And I think there's some people get it twisted and force the reward to be something that they really, really want. And the closest example that I could think of is like gacha dailies, right? I'll get to that in a moment. Or maybe if someone has like a gacha game or something that they're really into, or some kind of game that has a daily or system that they have to log into every day. And then they might say, oh, well, I have to do this report because if I don't, then I can't do this gacha thing, and then I'm going to lose my 7-day streak, and it's going to be terrible. Now I have to do that. Like, no. Don't do this. Don't hold your gacha hostage. Don't hold your daily stuff hostage. That's not the way to go about this, right? If it's something that you feel like you need, and then you're holding it hostage for the sake of completing a project, like that's a way to do it, sure. But then it also draws that association where that this thing that you're doing is an unpleasant experience that's holding this thing hostage, right? And as I tried to establish a bit earlier, if there's something that you absolutely feel like you need to do, watch your show, play your game, right? When it comes to finding success in these personal projects, you shouldn't necessarily sacrifice those things completely for the sake of this other thing that you want to do or want to accomplish. Maybe to a small degree, if your schedule's really packed, like if your day's completely full, then yeah, you should try to shave off maybe 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and then work up from there to try to wean yourself off so you can have a bit more free time, or see if you can do other things with your time. And I'll try to get to that later in time management. But to outright hold hostage or sacrifice the things that you like or you feel like you should do as a reward is not a reward. That's just a punishment game. Instead, what I would say is, since we're on Twitch, I'm sure everyone has these massive Steam libraries, right? Of games that they never played before. Things that they say, you know what? I should probably play this game at some point, or I've had this in my backlog and I've never really touched it. Like, I would say a Steam game that you're not really gung-ho about it, something that's not like, oh, I have to play this, I've been wanting to play this, all my friends are playing this, not something like that. Just like a meh Steam game. One that you could pause and walk away from and be okay with, right? One that's not going to suck you in all night and keep you up until like 4 in the morning. Just something that you can, if you read for an hour, you can do this for 20 minutes and you'll be fine leaving it alone for the next day. Or something that, if you write a report for 2 hours, then you can play this game for 40 minutes, pause and save and exit, and then come back to the next day, right? Just something that you've kind of had on your backlog in that way that you feel like not only are you accomplishing the project that you want to do, but you get to accomplish the fun things that you've been meaning to do and have been putting off. In that way that you associate completing the project with completing more project, where success builds upon success. And you think, you know what, yeah, I can play and enjoy this game because I did a good job doing my work today. So, that's kind of the thing. You don't want to hold things hostage. You kind of want to build upon success with more success, even if it's just like a meh game. So, yeah, I would say if you want to reward yourself or look into that kind of aspect, and again, you don't have to, but if you want to, make sure you do it in a healthy way and not in a hostage, I'm going to lose everything kind of way. Now, for the time management part, let's see. Yeah, okay. For the time management part of preparing to do a book report in 2 weeks, right? First, you have to look at your schedule and see if it's actually 2 weeks, maybe it's 3, maybe it's a little bit less, maybe you have to submit it a week before, I don't know, right? Everyone has a different schedule when it comes to these things. But first of all, look at the total amount of time you have left. So if you imagine time, think of it like this big old block, right? And this is kind of the total time that you might have, right? You could count the complete amount of hours that you might have until this thing is due, right? So if it's like 2 weeks, how many days is that? 14, and then you do 14 times 24, 336 hours, right? All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at this big block of time and just like cut it down and be realistic. Because if you cut half of this out, like this time is sleep. Maybe you don't sleep 12 hours a day and that's fine. But if you just count it as time lost completely, it could be sleep, it could be eating, it could be using the facilities, it could be showering, it could be any kind of bodily need, right? Even if you only sleep for maybe 8 to 6 hours a day, right? That extra time should be allowed to handle your other, you know, life functions. Eating, the other half of eating when it leaves your body. You know, taking care of yourself. Any kind of bodily needs you need to take care of yourself. So you cut that time completely in half, right? So get that out of your head. You should not sacrifice sleep for this project. You got plenty of time left. And that would be, now what's left is 168. Alright. And let's be more realistic, right? You're not a machine. You're going to be distracted. You're going to want to do other fun things with your life. You're going to want to talk to people or talk to yourself even. I don't know. But the point is that you probably don't want to be working the whole time. And so even with the 12 hours remaining in the day, if it's 2 weeks, I think you might only need like less than that. We'll call this time stuff. Alright? It's whatever you want. That's your free time. Because really you only need about like maybe 4 hours a day for these 2 weeks. And let me double check my math really quick. Is it 56? 14 times 4? Yeah, okay. You're really only going to need 56 hours a day. At most, I think. For a day. Because the stress that you might feel of having to work a lot and like read for 8 hours or something like that isn't going to help, because at some point your brain's going to get tired and realize, you know what? I just can't work anymore. I'm looking at the words and I see that there's words, but my brain can't comprehend what's on this page because it's so boring. It's awful. And so within this stuff time, right, you could do other things. There's breaks, naps, exercise, games. Ooh. I know it's not fun, but laundry. Just whatever, right? All these things aren't necessarily here to take away the time that you have studying. They're here to supplement it, because if you're spending 4 hours a day, it also doesn't have to be consecutive, right? You could start off with 2 hours. You could do 30 minutes if it's really bad. And you could also take breaks in between. So if you set like in 2 hours, but then by like the 40-minute mark, you're just like, I can't read this anymore. My brain is gone. Do something else. But keep those other hours, right? Keep those other hours. Like, they don't disappear. It's like a bank, right? Keep that hour for the day. Keep those 4 hours for the day. Just set aside it for later on. Now, this might lead to you having to cut and miss some things, like a TV show or something like that. So try not to do it. Try to schedule it in advance and think, okay, well, if I have these 4 hours for a time and I do 20 minutes here, 20 minutes there, or maybe 2 hours here and an hour here and an hour there, or just 4 hours in a block here, right? Try to be realistic and honest with yourself and reflect on how you've been working in the past. But if you have this amount of time, then it should work for the most part. But again, try to catch yourself and forgive yourself early on. If you find yourself being really distracted, if you find yourself being not able to focus, being completely bored and daydreaming a lot, because this whole thing isn't just like you do it on the first day and it's set and it's done, right? It's a process. And unless you had the experience of doing this multiple times before with many different projects, you know, the process in which you take to set yourself up for success might require some refinement. Maybe you think, oh, I just want music, but I don't really need it. Or, sorry, maybe I just want TV or sound, but I don't really need it. But then later on you find out as you do it that you really can't focus without that sound. And then you might have to reevaluate, well, do I need it? Do I need to set up a playlist or something like that? So, you know, within the first however many days it takes, right? Whether it's the first day, whether it's the second day, heck, even if it takes all 2 weeks and you completely bomb it, as long as you keep working on this process of refining of how you can find the most success and focus, this will be so much more helpful later on down the road for this and other projects. Because worst case scenario, right? If you earnestly try to figure out what is the best way in which you can set up your environment for success, well, what is the best saltwater solution for you to study in? And it takes you the full time and you completely mess up the project. If you can find a winning formula for yourself, you can apply this to all other aspects of your life, whether it's studying, whether it's wanting to read a book, whether it's wanting to try new things, develop a new skill. These habits and the way in which you understand and develop yourself sticks. And I think that's kind of what's the importance of a book report. It's not necessarily getting the thing done, it's more about setting up yourself for success. Although a teacher might say different. But that's why I'm not a teacher, I'm a tutor. So I think setting yourself up is an important thing, not necessarily getting it done. Yeah, it's fine, you'll be fine. But yeah, 4 hours a day I think would be good. Again, that might be excessive. Maybe even 2 hours a day, right? It depends on how thick the book is, right? I'm thinking like War and Peace. Like if you need some like really thick, heavy text, yeah, you're gonna need this amount of time, maybe a bit more. If it's like, I don't know, like Hardy Boys or something, it's 2 hours a day, right? You don't need that much. You're fine. Just set up a little bit of time. And so for at least the first week, right, hopefully you can kind of figure out your strategy for success, and then also just trying to get this book read, get it done. And some neat things you can do, right, is if you're a little distracted by the book, if it's a physical copy and it's yours to keep and have, depending on how you feel about books, you can mark them up. I mean, say there's a passage that you think is really interesting and might be helpful for your thing later, you can like highlight it. You can just like fold the page like that. You can stick like a bookmark in it, like whatever you want to do, right? If it's a digital copy of a book, I think you can do the same thing, but what might be more helpful is if you just keep like a note or text document that just says, you know, page 123, page 4, 5, 6, and have a note is like where it says like, oh, thing happened. Okay, maybe not that generic, right? But maybe like a bad guy shows up. Something where you can kind of keep tabs on what happens on what page of the book. That way you don't have to kind of go back and reread it later on when you actually do the report. Oh, it's time. Okay. Okay, so I think in the general sense, time management, just be forgiving with yourself, but just try to set up aside a time in which you can fit all the things that you want to do in it. Next week, I will go more in depth about the actual process of maybe a little bit of time management, but definitely about writing the report itself. And that way you could have a whole week to read and a whole week to write. And then after that, school starts. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, again, to anyone who came by, thank you for coming by. I hope this kind of rundown on how to prepare yourself for a project and setting up your environment you find helpful. And yeah, I guess next week will be about writing. And until then, I'll see you then, and I hope you have a good one. Yeah, here we go.